we do have to get to just the full-on, let's just get to the bottom of this. Shedeur outplayed Dillon Gabriel in both practice and in the preseason in their starts. No matter if it's a half each player played, you can't have it both ways. You can't say Dillon played as well, if not better, than Shedeur. And then when people use stats or just logic to push back, you can't go, well, but it was a half a preseason game. What are we talking about here?
I do like the complete ignorance of what's happening with stats attached to this. You know, I like numbers and I like stats and I like to bring those to the table. But from a statistical standpoint, it's night and day. It's not even in the same ballpark between these two with these performances.
And to me, why it matters is that it doesn't seem to matter to the Browns. Like, I've noticed the Browns came in with a very set mindset on their four quarterbacks, and nothing's really changed on that, despite the fact, like, listen, if the Browns haven't come off the fact they like Kenny Pickett, okay, yeah, I mean, Kenny had 4 practices before he got hurt. That makes sense. If they're still spinning the internal narratives of, hey, with the right OC, with the right situation,
Matt Canada really screwed him over.
But we have a full offseason and now full camp and almost full preseason of how Dillon and Shedeur have looked. And the totality of what the media has seen, Shedeur looks better than Dillon does. And the team can continue spinning the little narratives here, this little idea of, well, but Dillon really knows how to get in and out of the offense, and he calls plays. The operational stuff does not matter compared to the performance of it.
Right. Like, it wouldn't matter if, your quarterback can hand the ball up to the running back smoothly.
Yes. So, like,
that's an operational thing I'd like to have.
Well, no, but that would, I mean, the sun was in his eyes.
Ah, okay.
And, like, here's the thing. The reason why this does matter is the team-friendly defenses, or not even defenses, the spin of how Dillon has played, of how anyone has played, only leans into their stubbornness. Like, at some point, listen, there's literally no difference between, a 92nd pick, and I think it's pick 145. When it comes to who they truly are and why you're drafted in the late 3rd round and why you're drafted in the early 5th round, there's no difference. But it's been apparent that to the Browns, they believe Dillon is ahead of Shedeur in terms of his NFL readiness, except, which okay, that's fine. But now we've seen these two guys play. One guy looks better than the other, and there hasn't been an impact that we know of yet on the depth chart. That's problematic. That is being too cute, too precious, too stuck on your own previous evaluation. That is something to be concerned about going forward.
Well, I am curious how this would have changed had Shedeur not been injured. That's the one part that will stay with me. Like, if I'm trying to give the Browns the benefit of the doubt, what I would say is, they haven't had Shedeur healthy to be able to even bump him up in the past week. So, like, when we do get a healthy Shedeur Sanders, and we do see, and I would expect that to be very, very shortly, then I'll be interested to see what they do. If they continue to throw Dillon out there ahead of him, then yes, I'll agree with everything you said.
So here's the thing. I don't think there was anything Shedeur could do in the preseason. I maybe I'm being a little sticky in my own evaluation here. I think the only way Shedeur is going to change their minds is if he sees the field in the regular season and plays as well as he did in the preseason. And my problem with that is the order of operation on how you deploy quarterbacks from here absolutely is going to have an impact on the success. So
it's a massive deal.
Well, whomever gets the first crack, if Joe does falter early in the season.
I mean, that is our new competition, by the way.
Well, but whomever gets the first crack has the best chance to succeed.
Well, I mean, not only that, I mean, whoever gets the 3rd crack might not have a chance to even have that crack.
Well, and by the time, if there is a 3rd crack at a starting job, it might be when everybody's kind of checked out.
You're going to get like 2-3 games maybe at the very end. That's what makes the Joe Flacco starting week 1 so interesting, is that I just don't think there's enough time to have both rookies be actually evaluated after Joe Flacco's done.
So I think there's this idea of, if all 3 are going to play, who cares what the order of operations is?
No, it matters a great deal.
No, it matters a great deal. And here, let's throw all that aside. You brought in both guys. So you're allowed to have your biases and your little grievances or whatever it is with both guys, but you should be open to this process. Jeff Phelps today saying that this process ending in Flacco starting is a colossal failure. Nope, I think Joe was starting was always on the table. There was always a really good chance of having it. I think the only failure you can really render is if you go out there and you just didn't give, if you got too precious with it or were caught up in your own biases. And that will play out in this season. If Dillon starts first, if Dillon's the first guy in for Flacco, assuming that happens this year, you got to make that assumption. We'll see. But if that happens and he looks really bad, and there's 3 or 4 games where he's unplayable, and then they go to Shedeur, and all of a sudden Shedeur looks really good, but by then the team is already below water. Mm-hmm. You're going to get a lot of questions in that locker room of, did you handle this the right way? Well, Players do not question things in real time. They will question it once things have started to go bad.
Sure. We will talk about it as if it is a failure. If it goes down to that script right there, we'll talk about it as if it's a failure because then you're likely to take a quarterback in 2026 in that draft. And if Shedeur is really as good as you were describing right there, maybe you didn't have to. Maybe you could have got away with having Shedeur be able to grow and get better and better and leaving on a high note. But if he only plays 3 or 4 games, you're not going to be able to have that opportunity.
Genesis dude on Twitter saying, very impressed with both rookies. Don't quite know why Gabriel is getting criticized. No, what you're hearing is the difference between how one guy played and another. There's a whole host of people ready to just spin this thing and say, well, they both played well. No. One played really well. The other played fine. And if we are keeping score in this, which is the whole point of the entire exercise,
right,
then yes, you should be able to say, oh, the tribalism, oh, you're pitting them against. No. No, the Browns pitted them against each other when they took one guy in the 3rd round and the other in the 5th. And then brought a quarterback kerfuffle to camp and gave 3 guys a chance and 1 guy not a chance. So when the one guy that gave no serious chance to win this job went out there and outplayed everybody but the guy who started the job, it should be on record. That is the whole point. This exercise was, how do you roll these guys out? What chance do you give? 3 guys were given a chance. And before Dillon's hamstring injury, which gave Shedeur the opportunity and not anything else, that gave him the opportunity to Wally Pip him, which hasn't happened. Before that, they were very seriously doing everything they could to prop Dillon up to see if he could challenge.
I mean, how shocked would you be at this point if Shedeur is not the first quarterback out the gate, if it is in fact Dillon Gabriel? Because you won't be shocked at all, I would imagine.
I would be beyond shocked if Shedeur at any point gets on that field, other than injury.
And we should let this show
that
this was nothing to do with Shedeur's play in the slightest bit. This is nothing to do about watching both guys and being like, well, I guess Dillon's really outplayed him. No. This is just everything to do with the Browns and how they initially thought about Gabriel versus Shedeur. And what's unfair about that for Shedeur Sanders is that's not a fair fight.
I get that binary thinking. Binary thinking is all we do these days, right? Political opposition, everything becomes a two-party issue in sports in every walk of life. It doesn't have to be. I'm going to say it one more time. Shedeur outplayed expectations by a wide mile, by a wide margin, despite not getting the reps in practice that would lead you to believe he's doing that. Conversely, Dillon was given every opportunity that he could be given, especially the second Kenny Pickett went down, and then played fine. If you don't hear the difference between that, or if all you hear is spin, I think you're being spun in a different way.
Well, but the problem is that, you wake up this morning and then all you can hear is people telling you that the two of them were on the same par and on the same, level. And it's just not, it just isn't true, Nick. One of them turned the ball over a ton. The other found the end zone a ton. And tell me the difference.
And what was the number one thing Stefanski's offseason has been built on?
It's like, don't turn the ball over.
And what was the number one thing Dillon Gabriel did twice?
Turn the ball over. Like, this isn't hard. It's amazing to me. I really do think people just got in their head after that first drive that that was a win. That's all we needed to see, and that was it. And it's like, all right, then what are we even doing here?
And I understand wanting to gobble up positive coverage of the team. That's why I'm here. That's why Peterlin's here. That's why sports talk in general exists, because teams lie. Teams spin things in a myriad of ways because they want you to be excited. You know why? Because you'll buy more jerseys and you'll buy more tickets and you'll buy more soda pops and more of this, more of that. That's fine. That's their job, is to sell. And my job is to say, yeah, that's not real. You can say it as much as you want. That ain't how this is going.
Well, but what's interesting is the sell that you're talking about there is sitting there on a silver platter. Like, it's there. If they wanted to boost up Shedeur, they'd have all the reason to. And at this point, if they don't go in that direction, it'll be so befuddling because they've been given every opportunity to prop him up.